started. I'm Jessica Newell. Shocker, right?
Oh, what?
I'm Jessica Newell. So
Jessica
nice to
Newell.
meet you. Right, that's a look. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Roger. I'm a bullfighter.
Right.
My name is Neil Kellow.
Could you explain a little bit just about who you are and stuff, what kind of stuff you do?
Well, I am. I am a musician. Background in content creation, and later alternate provision education, as you know. What else can I tell you? I play in bands and record, which is my love and hobby. Still work for my main job in education, although recently changed tack a little bit. I've got a cold.
A lot of contact since you can't see him, he's
Jess
sticking a little
Newell
nose
fan.
in him.
But chairman of the Jess Newell fan club, which is nice.
So, whereabouts did you start your arts journey? Like, what was the beginning of this?
Participation or inspiration?
We'll start with inspiration.
Inspiration.
What
So,
inspired
as
you?
a young child, my uncle Phil, was a musician in a band, and I remember being really small, like probably pre-5, and there being guitars and basses and instruments and album covers and this kind of thing. And I always remember that kind of thing going on, but he was like into really heavy rock kind of at the time, would have been, you know, early Ozzy and DC and Pink Floyd and all that sort of stuff. And so hearing that kind of stuff, weirdly, I put on an old Led Zeppelin CD in the car, and it was like, oh my god, I know all this stuff, I remember it, it's like so influential. But you don't know, do you? You don't always know what your influences are. So that kind of was definitely a seed. And it was like growing up, you know, when it kind of came to Christmas and stuff like that, and I think, I really want a guitar. I really do want a guitar, I don't know why. But then a new games console would come out and I'd be like, no, I'll have that. And so when I was 19, I was driving past Carlsborough, which was the main guitar shop. There was like, I think it was like a chain of shops, like 10 shops or something across different counties. And I thought, oh. So I just turned around, went back, and went in and bought a guitar. I bought like a Sunburst Strat, and got it home. And my older brother said, "What have you bought that for? You'll never learn to play that." and then each one of my mates, one in turn, went, "What have you bought that for? You'll never learn to play that." You know. And so I just had this thing of like, really, won't I? Won't I?
Gotta prove them wrong.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely the best thing that anybody could have done. So I'm so stubborn.
Did it out of spite?
Yeah, I just thought, you know, if everybody said, "Oh, great, you're going to do, you know, well, let's pay for lessons for you and let's do this," absolutely the opposite. Like, you know, my mates would come around and go, "Put that thing out, it sounds awful. You're rubbish. You're never going to learn to play it. Let's go out and do something." Do you know what I mean? And it was like that. To me, was like a red rag to a bull, that I'm going to prove you all wrong. I won't, do you know what I mean? So I had a couple of mates, but obviously back then, because I'm from the Jurassic period, there was no YouTube, there was no, you know, the internet existed, but nobody had it at that point. So it was like, you could buy guitar magazines, I can't believe I just run that into my eyes. You could buy guitar magazines that have got like random transcriptions in and things like that, but my main thing was I had a couple of mates that played a bit of guitar, but they weren't really into like Metallica and Slayer and stuff like that. And my musical tastes were, you know, I'd quite happily, because there was a culture then of, on a Saturday, we'd go into town and you'd buy music. And it was like, you know, it was like a ritual thing that you go to, like what would have been Revolver or early HMV maybe. Andy's Records, are a few different places that you could go and buy like an album, probably on vinyl, and it was the artwork and everything about it, and getting it back and taking the sleeve off and putting it on the record deck and all that. It was like a massive ritual. Music was so ingrained. But I liked things like De La Soul and just, you know, random stuff. I quite liked electronic music, quite, you know, whatever was good.
Yeah.
Whereas all my mates were into like really heavy metal kind of stuff. So I ended up with taste that was quite broad, but I only knew metal stuff because I'd go around and say, "Oh, Pete, show me, you know, Bolt," and he'd show me a riff or whatever. And then after a bit, started guitar lessons with a guy called Dave Buckley, who used to be like the main egg in this area.
Yeah.
Amazing guitar player, who was brutal. Absolutely the opposite of how I teach. He'd have 5 people at once. On, I think he was like 15 quid an hour.
Yeah.
So, on good money.
Yeah.
And you'd get maybe 10 minutes of his time, and he'd be like, "Well, if you're not going to learn it, don't come back." You know, literally like brutal. And I can remember going in, I used to turn up with notes, and I'd be like, "Oh, in the magazine the other day I was reading, and Joe Satriani said something about the fridging. What does that mean? What is he talking about?" And I could see that I was just an annoyance. And it was just like, oh. And he gave me a sheet with like diatonic modes and all this kind of scale shapes and stuff, and said, "Don't come back until you've learned those." And I'm like, to him it was like, "Don't come back."
Yeah.
To me it was like, I need to prove myself to this guy. So I went away, and it took me about 3 months to learn this stuff. And then I turned back up, booked a lesson, turned back up, and like, I know this, I know that, and I think he suddenly started taking me seriously.
Yeah.
So then it was like, you can now have lessons on your own. And he really started to take me under his wing. And then I was in a band run by, it was actually the band around a woman called India McKellar, who's possibly, apart from you, the best songwriter, musician that I've ever met. And she's still, I mean, still, you know, being kind of in touch with her now, and she's amazing. But that band was amazing because I was like, I don't know, 20 or something, and they were all older musicians in their 30s, and there was 12 of us, and I was the shit one. And that's a great place to be, because you're constantly having to learn and prove yourself and make a bit more effort than everybody else, because you know that you're the crap one. Yeah. And that was an amazing kind of thing. But then she was studying, I think she was doing like a master's or a PhD in music theory. And what part of this thing was, she had to do a performance of one of the pieces that she'd written for this music theory thing. So we learned it as a band, and we went to the university to play it with her for this exam. And India said to the woman who ran the course, was a doctor of music and a year older than me, like wildly off the scale talented woman. And India had a word with her when we were there and said, you know, my guitarist is really interested in consolidating his learning and blah 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 and all this sort of thing. And so she came over to me and said, you know, if you want to have a chat about future study and stuff, come up to my office after and we'll have a chat and done this. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went up and just had a chat with her about what I was doing, what I wanted to achieve and all that sort of thing. And she's like, yeah, you know, just a casual, friendly chat between somebody that was my age. Yeah. And about a week later I got a letter saying your application to the University of Derby has been accepted and you start on such and such, and I was like, I didn't even apply. I just got a place from this conversation. She was obviously like, this is the kind of person that we need, so that's embroiled in actually really wanting to learn. And I thought, well, actually, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have 3 years of being immersed in what you love, because you're never going to get that chance again.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I found it to be a bit frustrating because I think the world of academic music is not really geared towards necessarily making people better as players and musicians and writers. They have to have something that they can assess.
Yeah.
So they teach something that they can measure. Whereas if the measurement was how brilliant somebody was, most of the class are going to fail, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is why I think in some cases certain institutions spot very talented people and then bring them onto courses because they know that they'll just smash everything and etc, etc. But that was actually quite an influential experience.
Yeah.
Because
just cut down.
okay.
Was the traffic bad then? Somebody said the traffic's really bad. Do you know what it's really bad?
I'm not
James
too
just
sure.
said he's got people, Mansfield Town Centre, is blocked off.
Well, it might be because everybody's Christmas shopping, madly Christmas shopping.
I can't believe it, Christmas shopping in bloody November.
Oh well, Christmas started in September.
Christmas time. Fair enough, isn't it, for Giles?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. As
So
you were
that's a
saying.
massive influential turning point for me because I developed a little bit of a love-hate thing with the academia and education because I recognised it was a bit hollow.
Yeah, it's difficult with music education. When I was reading the Creative Practitioner's book by Paul Hose for my coursework, it was touching on music education, how a lot of the statistics for students in music education is quite low because people don't want to go to a classroom setting and be taught with something that they're not actually completely interested in. That was mainly where the rise of what's the word? I'm thinking of a word, can't figure it out. I'll fill it in later.
Vocational?
Yes, vocational. Like the place I go in now, it's a lot more tailored towards the pupil.
Yeah.
I think it makes it a lot more interesting.
But you know, in reality, how many people are on music courses or arts courses or design or whatever, and how many actual jobs are there for those people when they leave? So it's like, you know, I just developed a little bit of pessimism towards it.
Yeah.
And so then kind of left there, did numerous different things. I ended up working for a label where I was primarily writing for other people. So very formulaic kind of female singer-songwriter who can't write for shit, but has all the talent, you know what I mean? And so, you know, you'd either be with that person or form a team around that person who can kind of throw ideas in and pull out of them, you know, experiential kind of ideas and develop that kind of stuff. And along that journey, I got really interested in music video. Wow, this is like a really cool area where, you know, this was when we got social media kind of sites starting to emerge, and it was like, this is going to really be the way forward, because without video you're not going to exist.
Yeah.
So that's what got me into making video, capture, learning, editing, and then the 3D graphics stuff and CGI and all that sort of thing. And I ended up really being more interested in that in terms of work than I was in music, although music's always been, I've always written, I've always, you know, there's like drives and stuff with hundreds of songs on that nobody's ever heard, because it's not good enough to do anything with, but that's part of the process of cutting your teeth until you keep writing stuff and whatnot.
So from helping other people write songs, how did you get into songwriting yourself, writing songs?
Well, I was already doing it.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, so obviously I was I've missed years of be it playing in bands or all this kind of stuff. So, but also writing and primarily instrumental stuff because I was always anti-vocal because I'm a terrible singer.
He's lying.
No, I am. But I find lyrics like incredibly difficult. I think my linguistic abilities and understanding are really limited. But it's something that you just work on, isn't it? Yeah. And then obviously I ended up leaving there, and I was doing freelance content production, and ended up doing some really good stuff. I was doing work for a company in LA called Blur Studios, who were primarily television, film industry, advertising, all that kind of stuff, and making a good living doing that. And then I got asked a couple of times can you come into this local school, or I'm not going to mention any, but to do a workshop, because you're somebody that's working with the other day, and it's really not that glamorous because I'm just working from my house. But okay, and obviously what you realise is young people really like this technology, really like the idea of what's going on, because it's gaming technology and it's film technology and that sort of stuff. But there's nobody teaching it. So you've got an industry that's screening for people that have got the gift of a certain skill set, and then an education system that doesn't recognise that at all. And it's so I met with, just by chance, with the guy that owned and started Real Education, and we had this conversation. He was saying, I'm really interested in this, come and see me, we need to talk about, I need to develop something around this kind of subject area. And I had to think about it, went to see him, and I was like, look, for me, the idea is dead simple. You create a working studio, and you put the kids in that working studio, and then teach around that. And it's it all sounds a bit vague, but it's got to be a little bit loose, because the technology is changing all the time, the clients are changing, the platforms are changing, so it's got to be loose and whatnot. So he basically said, well, look, come and work for us, and let's set up and prove to me that it works, because I think it might be a bit difficult for these kids. And I'm like, it won't. And obviously, where that kind of ended up, and I worked there for 12 years, and now I've left there, and I'm looking at, we've started a new company to do that exact same thing, but based on 12 years of experience of successes and failures, and what works and what doesn't work and all that sort of thing. I think I've now got a formula that is unique, that'll be really beneficial, because there's been, I think, in the last, whatever it is, the figures the other day, there's been a $40 billion pounds, £40 billion overspend on SEN education in this country.
Oh really?
There's 1 million kids out of education, and who's dealing with it? So the idea is to kind of be a little bit instrumental in addressing that remote education that can reach anybody, and really specifically geared to what's happening in industry. So that's the kind of brief history of time. Still teaching, still writing, still playing, still gigging, still, even though I'm nearly dead.
Oh, please.
I feel it today, honestly.
As if that would be allowed to happen. You're never allowed to leave, Neil. I'd lose my mind.
Oh, I'll still haunt you, don't worry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. So, as far as your career is aware, were there any twists and turns that you didn't expect that put you on a different path than you were looking for?
Loads. I mean, it's a bit personal, but I wrote years ago. I wrote this thing, and just for my own passion and interest, because I think I'm majorly on the spectrum, and I'm very convergent thinker, and I can't let things go. So if I get an idea, I have to work on it. I have to see it through. And it was, what would it be like if you had a band on stage and they were playing instrumental music, and the lyric content is missing, but it's filled in by video behind them. So they're playing to a video, so you're getting the narrative from the video and the emotive qualities from the music. Like if you watch a horror film and switch the sound off, it's just dead. So that was the concept, and
it's 12:30.
and I spoke to a couple of mates about it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, it's interesting that you're trying to invoke narrative through just the sounds and the music." And it all sounds a bit arty-farty, but it was like quite digestible material. And a few people said, "Look, it's a bit. Maybe you could go to the Arts Council. Maybe you could do, you know, blah blah blah." So I did. I applied to the Arts Council, and they really liked it. And they were like, "Yeah, we could fund like a theatre show tour thing around the UK and blah blah blah." Got musicians involved and all that kind of thing. And not maybe a month before we were looking at actually launching this thing, my then missus ran away with my best friend, leaving me with a 1-year-old child.
Oh goodness.
So it was like, what do you do about this?
Yeah.
So my decision was, he is primary.
Yeah.
What I need to do is write off anything to do with anything for at least 5 years, because he's more important. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And obviously I was still working actually, but ended up opening, because at a certain point I'd worked in a guitar shop for years while I was doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine said, "Do you fancy opening a guitar shop? And we'll do this and da 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 and all that." So it's like, yeah, cool. So we did that. So I was very flexible with time, but my priority was my son.
Yeah.
So that all of that went by the wayside. And then it was around that period that I started working for that label. So yeah.
Is that something you'd ever look at doing again?
I don't know whether there'd be a market for it, but yeah, I mean, I love things like that, not experimental, like off the wall kind of jazz atonal kind of stuff, but just things that are a bit different. And it's not, I don't think it's anything particularly unique. I think people have done these kind of things before, but my version of it would be different to your version of it, wouldn't it? And it's like that'd be really interesting to explore how, you know, if you've got a narrative scene that's maybe 4 minutes long as part of an ongoing, it's almost like watching a film. Yeah. But there is no dialogue.
Only music.
It's all done with music. So things can be insinuated, but then you know, metaphor would play a massive part in it, and people's own subjective translation of what something means. A certain level of ambiguity could be left there, couldn't it? So that it actually, you know, leave that open to interpretation, and then you don't really figure it out later on or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. But you know, obviously, I'm different fish are frying now, aren't they? So it's, you know.
Well, it sounds really fascinating though. I do really want to ask you about your band experience though, because I feel like every time I see you, you're telling me about like, oh, I'm going to this gig, or I've been to this gig.
Yeah, and you've not been to one.
Don't even start. But I
think we should discuss this.
Oh right, yeah, sure. But, but I just want to kind of ask where you really started when it comes to being in a band. Like, what was your inspiration for being in a band? What your experience is?
It's a natural thing, isn't it? If you're playing an instrument, I think that would, you know, you've got mates and all that. Eventually, somebody's going to go, "Do you fancy?" You know, being the personality that I am, don't naturally adapt well to being a performer. I'm not a natural. I've not got an exhibitionist bone in my body. I really struggled. Not so much stage fright and anxiety, but more kind of getting your head around the fact that, wow, why am I doing this? It's like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And particularly the singing thing. You know, for years and years and years, lots of different bands, people going, "Fancy doing some backing vocals? Do you think you could do that?" And I'd be, no. I'd be on the guitar, and my only real regret is that because if I had 20, 30 years ago said, oh, well, I'll try, maybe that confidence would have built to a much higher level. But it was only when I was playing, I got a phone call from a friend who got a Madonna tribute band, and they were playing all over Europe and all this sort of thing, when tribute bands were massive at one point. And I had, previous to that, played in a Pink Floyd tribute band.
Oh, really?
Excuse me. And she rang and just said, look, I really need a favour. I've got a gig on Friday, and this was Wednesday. Is there any chance that you could do this gig? And I'm like, what, the Madonna thing? And she's like, yeah. Where is it? And she went, have you got a passport? And I was like, yes. And she's like, right, here's the score. It's in Portugal.
Portugal.
It's one set. It's actually, no, it wasn't in Portugal, it's Portuguese, but it was the Azore Islands, you know, between, if you've got Portugal, I'm trying to think from your perspective, Portugal's there, and America's there.
I don't know, I
We've
dropped
got
out of geography.
the Atlantic Ocean between them. Well, the Azore Islands are in the middle, and they're just little volcanoes stuck out of the sea. So they're like little islands, a group of islands.
Yeah.
But they're Portuguese owned, so it's Portuguese language and all that. So she said, it's the Azore Islands, it's, you know, 5-star hotel, all expenses paid, flights paid, food paid, everything. And if you do the gig, it's a 1-hour gig, I'll give you 750 quid. And I'm like,
yeah, man.
I'm going to go for it, but the challenge is massive. So you need to come right now and bring me CDs or whatever, you know, if there's arrangements, I need to know what I'm doing. So I spent the next 3 days learning this stuff. We flew to the Azore Islands. The gig was Saturday, not Friday. We're flying on Friday. And we went and stayed in this hotel, and it was amazing. And then did this gig, and the gig, my first gig with them, there was, I think, 11,000 people there. And what happened was all the people from all the islands came to one island to have this massive festival once a year.
Yeah.
And there's like a 6-lane motorway going down the front, like in Miami, down the seafront. And they just closed it off and put a massive stage at one end. And then that was the stage, that was the crowd, like as far as the eye can see people. And then they got repeater PA going down the thing with screens and all that. And it was like a massive gig, and I kept thinking to myself, we're in this hotel, like going in the pool, going in this, people are like, can I get you this, sir? Can I get you this? And it's like, when they figure out that she's not Madonna, we're all dead. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like, that was how it was, that was the gig. And so I ended up with them for 18 months.
Yeah.
And it was actually 3 bands. It was a Madonna tribute band, a Cher tribute band, and a corporate covers thing that we used to do, what's it called? Bistro Live, Heaven and Hell, those kind of chains. But the agent for the band was French, so he found a lot of work in France and in Italy and Germany and Portugal and Spain and places like that. So we'd get in a van and disappear for weeks on end and then come back, which was great. But eventually it just gets ridiculous, too much sort of thing. But that was a great experience. That was a massive turning point for me, because I'd gone from gigging every so often, and like maybe if you were busy, you were gigging most Saturdays, to gigging 5 nights a week, constantly. And it's like, you've got to turn up and you've got to smile and you've got to be smart and everything's got to be neat.
On point.
Everything's got, you know, because they're paying serious money for a pro act. And it's like, it was a massive eye-opener. And really, you know, Ellie, who was the Madonna, Cher, ran the band and all that sort of thing, massively inspirational. And I remember being in a dressing room somewhere, God knows where, and he said, what are you singing tonight, Neil? I'm like, she's like, everyone in this band sings. What are you singing? And I was like, I can't sing. She's like, yeah, you can. I was like, well, I don't know the words to anything. She's like, I will write them out myself by hand and stick them on your monitor. And I was like, but I'm not confident. She's like, you're never going to get confident. You're never going to learn to sing in your bedroom. You've got to do it live. Then you'll learn to sing. So what are you singing? And I'm like, and this was like a covers band thing. And I used to switch from bass to guitar in 3 different bands. So I had to learn 6 sets.
Ooh,
and it would change all the time. And they'd be like, what am I playing tonight? And be like, oh, well, we've got a guitarist tonight, so you play bass. Or we've got a bass player, so you play guitar. And it was like, a pro band can't not have everybody.
Yeah.
So some people could only commit to certain gigs, so I was like a fill-in.
Yeah.
And was with them all the time. Anyway, this conversation went on, gig after gig after gig. She's like, listen, you're singing. You're not going to be in this band unless you sing. And it's like, well, and she'd be like, what? Relight My Fire. Take that, Relight My Fire. Sing that, it's so easy. I'm like, she's like, I'll write the words out. No, just do it. Because you know, it won't be as bad as you think. And so she'd write the words out for me, put them on the monitor, and then I'd look at the bass player, who was an incredibly good singer, and he'd go, I'll do it. And so this song would start, bam, bam, ba-da-da, and I'm playing guitar, they're looking at him, he's like, yeah, and then the song would start, and he'd be like, help me escape this, and she's like, not happy, do you know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be singing this song, right? And we get away with it. Yeah. And then this went on gig after gig after gig after gig. And this one night she said, you better do it to Abba. Elliot, I will do it, honestly. I'll look at him and go, and so what she did was, the song started, bam, bam, ba-da-da, everybody's playing, and she just went over and knocked his mic out the stand. He was like swinging like that. And he looked at me like, I can't do it. He couldn't stop playing. Yeah. So I just walked up to the mic and started singing these words that were on the thing. And I got to the end of the song and thought, what the hell was I worried about? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but I got through it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I thought, I don't know, maybe it's not about being, you know, like you're annoying. You like open your mouth and out flows this amazing vocal, and you're like, what, did I just sing a song? You know what I mean? There's no effort or anything like that. That's you know, you're amazing.
Thank you.
For me, it's not. That doesn't happen. It's a massive effort. It's a massive self-conscious kind of thing, and it feels like, you know. For me, I've always said that when you're singing, it's like people can see through you. Yeah. They can see your weaknesses. They can see your emotions. And
your voice is quite personal.
But of course, they can't. Of course, can they? But
it just feels like it.
We do give away certain things about our frailties in vocals, don't we? Particularly if you're holding back. Mm-hmm. And so, there was a singing teacher here who actually suddenly passed away, and I think he was younger than me. Yeah. It was when he was about 40. Great singer. Amazing singer, and he used to. He was a classically trained opera singer that had turned his hand to rock. So he'd got like this massive range, huge belting vocal, total control, but sang like, you know, classic rock things. It's like, wow, yeah. You know what I mean? Amazing. And I had a couple of singing lessons with him, and just said, look, I really want to develop and blah blah blah, but I'm not going to do any of your exercises. I'm not going to. And he just said, look, he gave me lots of really good advice. Yeah. And he said, the best thing I can say to you is, because you're a well-developed musician, you can write songs, you understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I would just say, write a load of songs in different styles, sing them, record them, and then kind of listen back and think, well, you know, maybe I could do that better and all that. And what's going to happen over time is you'll find your own voice. Because at the moment, you're trying to sound like everybody else. You're trying to, you know, which was, and so he then, maybe 6 months later, he died. Mm-hmm. And I thought, Joe, something, I owe him that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this project. And so I carried on that project, and the result of that was the album that I released. Yeah. Which is, I listened to it now, and I think I listened to it in the car the other week. I've not heard it for months and months. And I thought, do you know what? It's really not that bad. It's really not that awful. You know what I mean? That's the best compliment I'll pay it, but it's not that awful. And you just think, I do backing vocals in one of the bands that I play in and all that, but I'm not confident enough to do main lead vocals. I don't think I've got the voice for it anyway, but it is about confidence. With some things, I'm not, because I would say to people, I'm not a really confident person. Most people go, what? You're the, and it's like, I'm not. On any front am I confident. But people kind of go, but you're so confident. And then it's like, I'm not. That's not how I feel. Do you know what I mean? So the live thing has developed over a long time.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it the other day. And somebody said, how long have you been teaching guitar? And I was like, I thought back and I was like, 33 years.
Wow.
And it's like, that's frightening. And I still don't know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? So when you look at actually gigging for decades and on and off, the periods of not doing much and then periods of doing loads and all that sort of thing. And the one of the bands that I play for now, the only reason I'm in the band is because I realised that there are certain aspects of playing in music that can only happen in the now.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to learn a song, but I don't want to play it just like putting a CD on, because what's the point? I want to, in the moment, reflect on what's going on, what the possibilities are within that scenario. That's how I'm sharpening my own abilities, and I'm really interested in that. So we've got a reputation as a band. Me and the singer have known each other since we were kids, and we love each other.
Yeah.
Constantly having a go at each other on stage. He's constantly moaning that I'm changing the songs. I'll start the wrong song to screw him up because his iPad's on the wrong lyrics. So people come to watch us and it's entertaining because we're just constantly at each other.
Yeah.
And I will just start playing something in the middle of something else and he's like, what the fuck is going on? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that is like an entertainment factor, but it's fun because we never know what's going to happen, and it's a good crack.
Yeah.
And then obviously, the education thing has been amazing because people like you come along who are like supremely annoyingly gifted. And I just, I see that, I don't know anything. I've got no words of wisdom because I'm a student myself, but I can be encouraging and kind of say, do you know something? You need to get your arse on YouTube, and I will just keep picking on you until you do something positive, because you'll regret not doing it, because 5 years down the line you're going to go, 5 years ago when I started doing this thing, this could become a great income stream for you. And it's like, you've got everything going for you, the way you look, the way you carry yourself, your view of the world, your emotive, the kindness and your in touchness with things, not to mention incredible talent, like amazing writing abilities, amazing performance abilities. You have got that confidence to get up and sing and all that, or at least it seems that way to me. It may be that, because I know, I've seen so many like documentaries and different things where they'll say, Freddie Mercury, who's like one of the greatest performers of all time, was just absolutely petrified every time away. You're like, what?
It's scary.
What? We've got Robbie Williams with his spinning his mic and attitude and stuff, and great vocal, throwing up before he goes on stage. And it's like, I can remember watching an interview, and it was, do you remember the band Steps?
Rings a bell.
They were like a really cheesy. They did like what was the song? They did loads, like a real pop band sort of thing. Well, there was a female singer in there. Can't remember her name now. and amazing vocalist, really breathy, sexy voice, and she was on a like interview thing, and she was constantly covering her face, like, well, I know somebody who is like that around there, you know, like constantly, like, and it was like, oh my God, she's like crippled by shyness and anxiety about, you know, the social thing. Play the music, boom, huge performance, go off stage, can't speak to anybody, what is that about? And it, you know, it occurs to you after a while, or for certainly for somebody like me that, you know, does struggle with that confidence thing, that it's not you. You've got to have a segregation, and that's the performer, and that's who you really are. And it's like, it's okay, it's theatre. Do you know what I mean? In the same way that you watch Alice Cooper, or Ozzy Osbourne, or Slipknot, or any of these things, it's not real. It's performance, it's theatre. You know, Slipknot with all their come off stage and have a salad and drink Perrier water. And, oh, I need an early night because we've got another tour date tomorrow. Jeeves. Do you know what I mean? It's not real. It's not, you know, they're not really murdering people, and you know, but you know, people are absorbed in that narrative, aren't they? So you know, that was a massive thing for me to kind of, wait a minute, it's not me doing it. It's, you know, you've got to become somebody else, haven't you? Or not. I mean, you know, if you've got your own YouTube channel and you're just really likeable and talented and all that sort of thing, then it'd be easier, but, you know...
Hey, you can't get on my case about the YouTube thing anymore. I have a YouTube channel now.
Yeah, I know. I know you do. But...
And I'm publishing, I swear, just slowly.
When was the last time something like that? You see, you could get away with, because of who you are and how you are, you could get away with putting things on like, yeah, I'm just nipping to loo. You know, I'm just cooking some pasta. People would watch it. Do you know what I mean? And I know it's like an imposition into your existence, isn't it? But it's part of the downfall of celebrity and show business, isn't it? That actually there's going to be a bit of a crossover with, you know, and the price of that is, you know, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and on the way up, if you're utilising people to get where you're going, they'll probably kick you on the way down. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, isn't it? But you're a nice person, so you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna come across as. I don't know. I think you could do it. It's annoying that you're not really.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to talk a little bit more about your film experience and stuff. Since one of my new arts that I'm doing at MLC Academy is filmography, I just kind of want to touch on that.
Well, in terms of film production, all that sort of stuff, very little involvement in that. I was more CGI, rotoscoping clips, providing 3D animated material and all that sort of thing. So an example of that would be, that I use regularly, would be getting a fax. Do you know what a fax is?
No.
So it's like, you get, the phone would ring and it'd go and then something would come out on paper. So we could send an image and it'd come out at your end, and it was a cow. And it had been drawn by somebody, I think it was like a South African artist that utilised it, drawn this illustration of this cow, and the instructions were, can you make this a 3D model that we can animate? And can it be funny? Maybe udders flopping around while it walks and da-da-da. It's like, okay. So I built this model, sent it back. There were a couple of glitches with something, did a couple of repairs, and it was like maybe a day and a night's work, something like that. Good money, you know, thousands of pounds for producing that kind of a thing for one day and one night's work. And maybe 4 or 5 months later, I'm watching television and there's an advert for Dairy Lee. That's my fucking cow. And the car was dancing across the field, and it was a Dairy advert.
You
And
made it
it's
onto
like-
a Dairy advert?
Yeah, but you never know where stuff's going because
Yeah.
they're not necessarily. It's like you just make that, do
Yeah.
this and that, and then somebody will be producing that that thing, and so you might get like done stuff for World Cup and lots of like online stuff. Gambling sites were massive at that time, and I'd get there was a company that was owned by two brothers who were French, and they did a lot of like really high-end web HTML programming stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were employed by gambling sites constantly because they were making that much money out of it. And this was the adage of the two or three major things online are God, porn, and gambling. That's what the internet was made up of.
Yeah.
And,
Not much has changed, to be fair.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, but they get in touch and say, "Can you? I'm going to send you an image of like a fruit machine. When you sign into this website, this image is going to come up. What we want is the reels are going to move and go back, back, back into the jackpot, and then coins come out and come towards the screen, and that transitions into the main website." And just like, yeah, okay, we can do that. And so making like animated material for all sorts of abstract, weird kind of things, and that was like kind of been 15 years ago,
Yeah.
but plus 15, 20 years ago. So now everything's changed even more. But I got credited on a film the other day. I can't remember what it was called, but they'd filmed a scene, and my friend was producing the film.
Yeah.
A guy called Chris Webb, and they filmed a scene, and they're all sat. It's like a nighttime thing, and one of them's playing acoustic guitar, and they all start singing this song, and then it kind of fades to black as it goes. I think it's a horror film. I'm not sure. I've not seen it. I got invited to the premiere, but it was like that I couldn't make it, and so I got sent this thing. It's like, look, the guy who played and sang is rubbish. Is there any chance that you can take the clip? And obviously, this is like under non-disclosure agreement because they're sending you clips out of a film that's not been actually released. Can you take the clip and play the guitar over the top exactly in time with him, but well, properly in tune, properly intonated, really with feel? And he'd played it on a nylon strung acoustic in the open, and they'd record, and it was like, yeah, that's all. It's like clearly not a very good player. So I've got a nylon strung acoustic, but I don't really play acoustic. So I rang a mate who's got like a £4,000 nylon strung acoustic. Said, can I borrow it? Took it in, mic'd it up, plugged it in. They've got a really good sound, and then redid this acoustic part, and then added some more parts, because in the film and recording industry, stuff like that, it's not, it may be that like you record a song, but they'll go, well, we want a longer version. Well, how do you make something longer if you didn't record it longer in the first place?
Yeah.
And I put on a second guitar that comes in with a little bit of ambience, so thinking that if they want to, they can add ambience to this scene as it fades away. Do you know what I mean? So I created all these parts, sent it back, and then a couple of months ago, just before they released the film, or I think it's been released anyway, it's definitely been, yeah, it would have been because it was a premiere, and he was just like, what's your PRS number, and because really appreciate it, blah blah blah, you credited on the film, we need to pay you royalties, because every time that film plays, they're playing you playing, we have to pay you. And that's, this is the revenue streams behind the scenes and all that sort of thing. And getting sync rights and stuff, I mean, it'll be, this is not going to be a big check, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's nice to be credited, it's nice to be, have that kind of thing. But, like anything, that's about knowing people, isn't it? And being, not amicable, but being amenable and flexible to other people's needs and requirements. So if somebody comes along and says, "Oh, is there any chance? I'm just thinking the other day I want to do this thing. And can you make me?" But because they know that you can do that kind of stuff, and that's the hardest thing for any artistically based person is reaching people.
It's 1 o'clock.
What your skills are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Letting people know what your skills are. But I was thinking the other day, I wrote an album for somebody.
Yeah.
And then it didn't go anywhere. And I own the songs. And I was like, who do I know who could re-record these songs?
I
Next.
see your thinking face.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have 2 questions that I want to finish off on this interview. I have one that I completely forgot to ask earlier. When would you say you feel the most creative?
When I'm miserable late at night.
I get that, though. I'm the exact same.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's something wrong, or I'm feeling a little bit wounded by life, I get more ideas and more. And I think it's a universally known thing. I think Sarah McLachlan, who's like one of the best singer-songwriters of all time, has said, "I write the best songs when I'm absolutely heartbroken." And it's like, yeah, I get that.
You put the most emotion and feeling into it then.
Yeah, I think when you're happy, you live, don't you? When you're not happy, you start to recoil and think, and that's when But the problem is that, well, not a problem, but the thing for me is that I've learned enough to be able to write something from nowhere.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So there is that kind of some of it. I think music for me has been half art and half science. Does that make sense? So I get the scientific, mathematical, formulaic principles and properties of what's happening, why do people hear that certain way and all that, the musicology and all that. I'm really interested in that. But then some of it is just plain, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like just see what happens and all that sort of thing. So the 2 things are the balance for me of I will always work by ear, always work from what I think is real and true. But when you run out of ideas, this can step in and finish it for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really fascinating. Thank you. Okay, and then as for the last question, this is a bit of
You're very professional.
Thank you.
You have your own show on YouTube.
Oh no, I think I'd get cancelled within like 5 minutes. But this one, it's a bit of a difficult question. I think the answer is, it depends on the person really, but do you feel successful?
I am not interested. Like, I remember somebody saying something to me years ago, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to be famous. I've got no interest in that." For me, there are 2 angles to this. One is success in the way that you influence other people, and I think on the whole, I've not damaged anyone. I've tried to be, as much of a help as I can be to other people. That's a success, because people out there have benefited from the interactions, as I do from interactions with other people. For me, success is not about zeros in the bank or being because the thought for me of not being able to go into a supermarket because you're going to get mauled is not fun. Can't be. That life can't be fun. It'd be great for you when you get your YouTube channel going, but success for me is time. That I have not succeeded at all. I have no time. I'm always embroiled in something, but that's something that I'm looking at currently to be more successful at, because I want to, with the teaching thing, back that off a little bit and all this, and get some time back so I can do what I want to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's actually a really interesting answer to that question.
Just truth.
It's the truth. But, well, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you for letting me be chairman of your fan club, and I look forward to your YouTube channel success.